Greetings! It is I, Countess Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue our discussion on the Pathfinder role-playing game system. We've been talking about magic items. Let's finish up the basics of magic items today with wands and wondrous items. But let's start with wands. Wands are effectively a baton, which stores a single spell in it of 4th level or less. A wand typically will have 50 charges when it's made, and each time you use a charge in here, it casts the spell once using the wand. So 1 charge per 1 wand, and when it finally runs out of all those charges, you got yourself a fancy stick. That's about it. A wand costs an amount to purchase equivalent to the spell level in here times the caster level of the creator times 750 gold pieces. Now, typically speaking, when we're talking about the wand, if it has material component cost to the spell, you're going to have to include that in the price. But the price will be that component's cost times 50. 1 for each possible spell this wand will be casting. Now, typically speaking, there are basic prices in the book that are assumed. These are the lowest possible prices because these are the minimum caster level for the various level of spells. It's assuming that if you buy a wand at that price, that's the caster level it's going to have. Though again, whoever's creating it can create it at a higher caster level, up to their actual caster level, at maximum. Now, this also means there are variations. Different spells are different levels for different classes, so depending on the class that's the creator of it, might mean the different spell level for what it is. Also, this is going to help determine it. Also, might be different minimum for different classes when it comes to creating it. So every caster class that creates a wand has a different formula basically to figure out the basic price. Now, a wand is traditionally 6 to 12 inches long, is about 1/4 of an inch diameter, and it weighs about an ounce. They're usually made of wood, though some of them are made of glass or crystal or metal, can occur. Now, it has an AC of 7, traditionally, hit points of 5, hardness of 5, and a break DC of 16. These are the basic numbers you're going to assume, though again, different materials might alter this just a little bit. Now, a wand uses spell trigger activation. This means that it costs you a standard action to use it, and of course, it doesn't provoke an attack of opportunity. Now, it might use a different action, though, depending on the spell. If the spell you are casting takes longer than a single action, it is going to take that amount of time to activate this wand, not the traditional amount of time. To use a wand, it must be in your hand, and you must then point it at whatever target or area you are affecting with said wand. A wand does have some advantages, as you can use a wand while you are being grappled by something, or while you are swallowed whole by something. A little interesting thing there that definitely could help out. Now, a wand will have a 30% chance of having some kind of markings on it that will hint you as to what kind of wand it is, what it can do, how to use it, all that kind of information. Other than that, it will have no special markings on it that will help you determine anything about it. Let's talk about wondrous items. Wondrous items is a catch-all group for everything else. Basically, anything that didn't fit in a category I've talked about up until now, wondrous items. So, there are no standards when it comes to physical description, physical form, abilities, anything else, nothing is standard. Hardness, AC, hit points, break DC, again, not standard because this is everything else that doesn't fit into one of these categories that I've talked about up until now. Now, a wondrous item is assumed to be used by everyone. Anyone can pick up a wondrous item and use it unless the description of the said item says differently. The description of the item will list if there is some kind of restriction to who can use this wondrous item. In the same way, a wondrous item is assumed to either be use activated or command word. Again, unless it's specifically stated in the description of the item. There it will list if there's some kind of different activation, something different about how long it takes to activate, any kind of details like that in the wondrous items description. Now, wondrous items have a 1% chance of being intelligent, a 30% chance of having some kind of marking on it that will hint you as to its abilities, its use, etc., etc. Other than that, it has nothing special on it beyond its normal decorations, nothing that will hint on its abilities, uses, how you can actually use it. If it does prove to be intelligent, it will have its own special powers, it will have its own special purpose, it will have its own abilities that link to it being an intelligent item. It is important to note that if my wondrous item has some kind of charges, then no, it cannot be intelligent. Intelligent items do not have charges when it comes to wondrous. Now let's talk about magic items that are intelligent just a little bit more. So I have an intelligent item. This is an item that has been granted sentience through some kind of magical process. They're their own creature. They're treated just like you treat an NPC, and they're going to have their own unique powers and abilities and special purpose that they're going to be bringing to the table when it comes to being, that's the NPC intelligent item I have. Now only permanent magic items can be intelligent. So that's why things with charges can't be intelligent, because they're not permanent. And magic items only have about a 1% or less chance of being intelligent. So there's a very slim margin of magic items that are intelligence. So magic items that are intelligence are creatures themselves. They have an intelligence score, they have a wisdom score, and they have a charisma score. You will treat them as if they were a construct. Many of them have the ability to illuminate the room around them at will. Effectively, it's an ability to have. But also, most don't actually have the ability to see it all. They don't have a way of visually understanding the world around them. Now, something unique about intelligent magic items, they can activate themselves. They don't need any kind of command words from their owner, from their user. They don't need any kind of prompt to use the abilities of themselves by themselves. They can activate the magic item that they are at will. In cases of initiative where they might be activating it, then they will activate on their owner/user's turn. So, that's it for today. I finished up talking about the basic types of magic items by talking about wands. Little batons, sticks that hold one single spell with 50 charges that you can blast out, and then it's done with. 50 times you can cast a spell of 4th level or less. Then I talked about wondrous items, which are everything else. Anything that didn't fall into any of the other categories I talked about is a wondrous item. There are so many different variations, so many different rules to them. It's effectively, look at the description of the item. That's how it works. There are very few standards between wondrous items because there is such a vast variety and change between all the different ones. So many different types of wondrous items. Then we talked about intelligence items. I introduced you to intelligence items. Talked about the basics of what makes them an actual intelligent creature. They have an intelligence, a wisdom, a charisma. They function as a construct. It's its own NPC that can use itself. That's a really interesting thing about it. It can use itself, its own magic item-ness. In the next episode, we're going to dive more into intelligence items. We're going to talk about cursed items. And hopefully we'll dive a little bit into artifacts. But if you have any questions, comments, anything you would say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. It's just for the channel, the Empire, the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you can always check out my Patreon, link in the description below. I have some great rewards there, and it does help to grow and improve the channel. But regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.